Hey everyone, this is Becky Howie from naturewisecounseling.com, and I help people go from feeling stressed, anxious, burned out, and depressed to feeling happy, healthy, and fulfilled again. And today what I'd like to talk to you about is if you've ever had that moment where you sort of shake your head or you put your head in your hands and you go, oh my goodness, how did I get here? This isn't the life that I planned. This isn't what I ordered. I want my money back. Then today's video is for you, because what I'm going to tell you about is how I teach people to create the life that they want, and what one of the biggest pitfalls is, or the biggest mistakes is that people do in doing that. Okay, so stick around until the end so you're not making this mistake. So if you have ever found yourself in one of those moments, like I described earlier, where you just put your head in your hands and you're like, oh my goodness, how did I get here, right? Maybe it is a job that just feels like you're drudging to work every day, or maybe it is a relationship that you have finally realized isn't working for you the way that you wanted it to. Or maybe you spend all of your time doing things for other people or volunteer organizations or these activities that you find that you're just having to force yourself through and you don't even know why you're doing it anymore. If that sounds like you, then what might be happening is that you have lost track of how to read your internal compass, okay? So how we get off track is if we spend a lot of time trying to force ourselves to want what we think we should want rather than what we actually want, right? So imagine that you have some situation, okay? Let's say it's a job, okay? And you get this amazing job opportunity and you feel like, or you think that you should be super excited about it, but your internal response is kind of like, no, this isn't for me, right? But you force yourself to take the job anyway, maybe because your parents thought it was a good idea, or because it's good money, or it's respectable, or some other, sort of socially acceptable reason like that, right? And you force yourself to take this job, and then you find that you're miserable in it. That's an instance where we sort of override our internal compass and what it's actually telling us. Now, if we do that enough times, then what happens is it kind of becomes like the little boy who cried wolf, right? If we ask our internal compass, well, what do you think? Is this a yes or is this a no? And then we ignore what the compass says enough times, our compass is going to be like, well, I don't know, because you know what? Every time I tell you something, you ignore it. And that's how we end up with that sort of I don't know response. When we turn inward and we ask our internal compass, does this feel like a yes or does this feel like a no? And we get an I don't know, then oftentimes it's because we've lost touch with what yes and no actually feels like. And so how we get back on track is to get back in touch with what yes feels like and what no feels like by recalibrating our compass. And that's something that I help teach people to do in my psychotherapy and coaching practice, is how to recalibrate their compass. Now, if you try and set goals for your life when your compass isn't calibrated properly, then you're going to end up off track, right? If you try and get from point A to point B with a compass that's broken, you're always going to end up in the wrong place. And so trying to set goals and drive towards them when the calibration of your compass is off is the single biggest mistake that most people make. And that's how we end up in this kind of keeping up with the Joneses place, right? Any of you who've ever seen Fight Club might recognize this quote. The main character says something along the lines of, we spend money that we don't have to buy things that we don't need to impress people that we don't like, right? And those kinds of things happen when our compass isn't calibrated. That's how we get off track, right? And so if that sounds like you, and you are trying to find your way to create the life that you want, you're trying to set goals and fulfill them to make yourself happy, but your compass isn't calibrated, then contact me at naturewisecounseling.com and I can help you get back on track. I offer free 30-minute consultations, and I would love to chat with you about where you're at in your life and what we can do to help get you back on track.